Alright, welcome everybody to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 3 for the Motherland. I'm Flying MacGuffin, and if you are familiar with the series, you know that this is a continuation of my Victoria 2 game, which has been converted from other games. If you're not familiar with it, welcome, and I hope you enjoy this, and maybe take a look at the other games, just so you know what's going on. We are going to play as the Celtic Empire in the January the 1st, 1936, because that's the only part that I've modded. Okay, we're going to play as normal difficulty because I am not as good at this game as I am at the other games. That's right, I'm worse at this game than I am at Victoria 2. So, we're going to be playing as the Celtic Empire, ruled by King George V. Alright, now, before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for giving me suggestions and stuff, and there are a few obvious suggestions that people have suggested to me that I've taken. Others may be either more subtle or I decided that it wasn't a good idea. Anyway, for those who aren't familiar with the premise of the game, you might want to look at the conversion videos, just so you have an idea of what I'm doing, or what I have been doing. I'm not going to, tell everybody to go back and watch all the other videos, but, yeah, if you don't understand something, just assume that something happened during the conversion. And that's why things are the way they are. Okay, so, we are the Celtic Empire, and, we're allied with Rome, basically. The Roman Empire, who used to be the Byzantines. Okay. And we'll go into political situations later. Let's go over the interface real quick. I'm not familiar with a lot of, well, I'm familiar with how to play this game, a lot before. Not a lot recently. I just got for the Motherland to do this. So, oh yeah, and like now I hear they're gonna have another expansion. So basically every game that I've done, I was like, finally, I'm doing an up-to-date game. No. So, basically by the time I'm finished with this, every game I'll have played will be obsolete. Herp. Of course, Crusader Kings 1 wasn't at the time. So, yes. I'm not as familiar with the in-depth concepts of this game as other ones, but I will do, concepts as I know them and like quick interface tutorials, but I'm not going to do anything in depth. So it's a lot like Victoria 2. Up here is our resources, although they didn't have, resources in that. Or more like EU3, which is like our peoples and stuff up here. Okay, we have energy, which is required to run IC, metal, which is required to build things in run IC. Rare materials, which is basically the same as metal, but it's just different metal. And then crude oil, which is converted into fuel. Here we have our IC, or industrial capacity, and this is basically how much industry we have. Now, people who are familiar with my Victoria 2 game might be thinking, well, you should have like 2,000 up there. Well, I wanted to keep the game as balanced as possible, so I didn't take all of the things literally from Victoria 2. Here's our supplies, basically it's used for funding our troops and keeping them, well, supplied. We either trade for them or build it with our industrial capacity. I'll probably be trying to run at a surplus at the beginning so that I can run at a deficit during the war. For those who aren't familiar about this game, this is a World War II game, and basically the entire game after the first few years is just going to be constant war. This is fuel. It's used to basically maintain troops, specifically vehicles, motorized stuff, planes, ships, that sort of thing. It's very important. And there's money, which is used for buying other resources, basically. It doesn't, and it affects certain events, like it requires a certain amount of money to change your laws, and you need to have a certain amount of money for certain events to happen, and stuff like that. And some things cost you money. here's our manpower. Manpower is used to build troops, just like any other Paradox game. It's a lot like, I don't know. Well, for those who've played Crusader Kings 2, it's not like that, where you have to raise troops like that. This is our diplomatic influence and our espionage. It's kind of the same type of ideas. This is how many spies we get, and this is our basically how many points we have to send to places to do things. Here's our officer ratio. Basically, 200% is the optimal. Right now we're at 96%. It is a function of your, all of these things are a function of your leadership, which we'll go into it later. This is your dissent, basically how much your people like you. Right now it's at 0%, but it might change. It also affects your IC proportionally to how much people hate you. This is national unity. It only really comes into play for certain events, and for determining whether or enough you have to give up in a war. And then right here is the menu. Below this is the time thingy that many Paradox games have, and go forward and back, speed-wise, up and down, unpause. Name of our country, and the flag, which if we mouse over this, we have our various modifiers, strategic effects, which I'll go into in a minute. And here is our tab thing here, and I'll go into those in depth. And here's our alerts, things that we need to do. And then this is our little shortcut ledger thing that shows our land units and crap. It's probably going to be closed most of the time we're not at war, and open when we are. Down here is the mini-map, various filters for the mini-map. Obviously you can click on it and go places. You'll probably only see the political map mode, but yeah, if I feel the need to, I can click on it. And one of the ones that's really useful is the victory point map mode. This basically shows the points in the game that are worth points to capture. I didn't change a whole lot of them, but I did change a few of them. And then what's supply map mode is also good, because it shows you places that get better supplies and what our supply lines are. I'm not running in arcade mode, so we do have to worry about that, convoys and shit. And Naval Map Mode basically shows the same thing, and it shows our bases we can use. And then Air Mode is like that, only with air bases instead. Okay. And then we have our victory conditions here, which basically the Allies, the Holy Roman Empire, and the Comintern, we all have various things we can do. We can't really look at anybody else's, but we see that ours, we have to do certain things to complete these objectives. And then strategic effects, basically you have to do certain things. So we already have 100 ships, so we get the Grand Fleet things. And then there's various other ones you can get for doing other stuff. And then we have faction bonus, which we'll look at later. And this is the Fine Province thing, and then we can zoom in and out like this, but I'll use the mouse wheel most of the time. And unlike Victoria 2, we probably won't spend a lot of our time in the strategic view like this. We'll probably spend a lot of time looking at things like this. And I use the counters because I find it easier to figure out what's going on using the counters. But then again, like I said, I'm not the greatest at this game. Okay, so let's start with our leadership, because it basically influences what else we can do. Now, we have 24 leadership right now, but hopefully we can raise that either through technology or other means. But we want to use most of our leadership for research. So I think I'm going to use 18 for research. I use 18.1 because it doesn't bring up that stupid more research possible, or it doesn't shows us we have inefficient research if we don't have any more than that. I think we want 4 diplomacy because we want to influence 2 people to our side rather quickly. And I think everybody knows what 1 is. And the other, well, probably doesn't really matter. And we want to put the rest of it into espionage for now, because putting stuff in officers at this point is kind of inefficient. Actually, let's put some in, like 0.7 or something, just so it's not, you know, doing that. Okay, basically 18 research, 18 leadership used in research means we can have 18 things going on right now. But because I did this so that we can start a diplomacy. As you can see, this is the pyramid. A lot of people do not like this. I love this because it means that you can basically influence people kind of, I don't know, more fluidly. Okay, so we have a lot of flags here, little thingies, and it tells us where everybody lies, basically. Various countries lie in various places for different reasons, but we are up here at the top, and then all the people who are close to us are up here at the top too. The Comintern's down here in the corner, and the Holy Roman Empire is over here, but I forgot and still left the fascist thing here. But as you can see, I changed most of the things. The Holy Roman Empire is Germany, Lombardia, and Scandinavia for now. These are the voting members of the Holy Roman Empire. The Allies, we are co-leaders here with Rome. Basically, it's like we're England and they're France. Well, we're England and France and they're Italy, basically. And the Cominterns have co-leaders of the Netherlands and the Ukraine. But the Comintern has a lot of places they could potentially expand into just by inviting countries into them. Now, the first thing we want to do, if we look at our victory conditions, we need to have a bunch of people as members of our alliance. Now, Belgium is basically de facto HRE right now, so we can't really touch them. And then Norway, we have to get them to break away from Scandinavia. And then Spain doesn't exist yet. So basically, the Spanish Civil War thing needs to happen for that to do anything. So the only one we can actually do anything to is Polotsk and the United States. The United States, if you looked at that little thing, smack in the middle. Basically, anybody can influence them. They don't really like anybody better than anybody else. So the very first thing we need to do, and because the United States is so fucking huge, we are going to start buttering them up. So we want them to be on our side, not on Germany's side, because Germany is already scary enough. So we're going to start influencing the United States. Polotsk, on the other hand, we want to work into our side too. Now, I just want to go over something, because anybody who's played the game more than once knows, well, there are certain things you can anticipate happening in the game, because you've played it more than once. World War II game, everybody knows that. When I had to convert the game, basically that was looming over me, and that's one of the reasons it took so long, because I was agonizing over the decisions I had to make. Whether I wanted to just try to make it as random as possible or tell a good story, and I ended up going more towards the tell a good story kind of thing, because the game doesn't work as well if it's random. Unlike other Paradox games where I basically just let things flow. If you are playing as England, for example, you know if you don't do anything that Poland is going to join the Allies because of a conflict they have with Germany, and then they're going to get killed. You know that France is going to probably lose to Germany if you're playing as the United Kingdom and you don't do anything to help them. You know if you're playing as the United States that you're probably going to want to help the Allies because Germany or Japan is going to attack you. Basically, the situation I'm in, I know that Polotsk is going to join the Allies anyway. But let's pretend that we don't, and start influencing them. Okay. And so now we're influencing Polotsk as well. We can click on us and we can see that we're influencing them. So that basically is our diplomatic points at this point in the game. Okay. Production we also want to do after we do technology, because we need to take a look at things we need to do in technology. Now, I like to start with industry, because there's a couple of things that we need to do. I like constructing infrastructure, so I'm going to do this. Because it raises your industrial capacity without having to build industrial capacity, if that makes any sense. It basically makes it so that people, I don't know. Yeah. If anybody thinks this is bad, like, right now, if anybody has any kind of problems with what I'm doing, just let me know. I am admitting that I'm not very good at this game, so if anybody has any suggestions for changing my gameplay, let me know. Also, we want education and agriculture, because education raises our leadership and agriculture raises our manpower. Both of which you can't really raise any other way. So we're going to do that. Or of course, manpower raises over time. It repletes. Doesn't make any sense. Over time. Yeah. We probably won't have any problems with resources once the game actually starts, but we may revisit this later. Infantry technology is by far the most important I've found. But we can't do things like mechanized infantry because we don't have medium tanks yet. But we can start all the important techs. And we can already do engineers. I like mountain infantry and marines as well, so we'll research that. And basically just, we can do that once we finish those. The rest of these, I don't use militia a lot. Militia are kind of crappy. And we already have enough cavalry to do motorized infantry, so I'm not going to do anything with that. These we'll figure out later. Now, armor, we want to work on all of these. While I don't like using light tanks, I do like using medium tanks, and we need to have these all of these at level 2 before we start this. And we also need we need 3 for self-propelled artillery. I don't know if I'll use those, but they are good support for tanks. I actually like using engineers to support tanks. And artillery. So self-propelled artillery might be a good idea, but I can't do that yet. Also, motorized infantry is good for that too. So, escorts I'm going to leave open for now. If anybody thinks I'm doing something bad by doing this, let me know. I have a lot of ships, so things like that are important. What I am going to do is I'm going to start aircraft carrier stuff. Now this leaves us with 17 out of however many we want. So, but I'm going to be researching more, just that I have things falling off of the list and then going back on, because there are some things that are going to just completely go away from the list. So let's go for, actually no, that's inefficient right now. Let's do let's do these. And I don't really know what theories are good, so I don't usually touch these very much. But I do know that this stuff is important. So let's go for square punct is good, I've seen. So let's go for that. Okay, so now we have all of our stuff fixed for that. Okay, production. Now, I like building icy. I don't know if it's the best thing to do, but it gives me a background thing to do that's not draining my manpower. So I like just having that much icy at the beginning of the game, just running, and then I can lower and raise the priority based on what I want. I'm going to build a couple radar stations too, because those are important, and a few convoys. Yeah, like that. Okay, so that gives us 55 IC to build units with. Well, it basically gives us the motorized stuff, which is more expensive at the beginning. Let's make a template and see how much 3 infantry as reserves. At the beginning of the game, you want to build reserves. So that costs 8, and I didn't save it. Okay. So this costs 8, and this costs 4, or 3.5. So this is much cheaper. Let's add a motorized division to this. So we can have maximum of 4. So now we have the maximum amount on it. So it has a motorized and 3 infantry. Now, the motorized isn't going to move as quickly as this. So maybe I should put an artillery there instead. Movement here is here. And as you can see, the motorized is much faster than the infantry. So let's take this off and put an artillery in there. See, okay, so now we've got a pretty good infantry group I like using. So let's build a ton of these, like 5 of them. And right now, it's saying, yeah, we'll do that. So still have lots of that stuff. Yeah, we need to change this to prioritize production. So right now I need 55 out of 88 basically. I like using the automated slider because these go up and down a lot. So, yeah. So let's build some planes. If you can look here, this thinks we need a bunch of stuff, like light armors, which I don't like. But I will take their suggestion for interceptors and tactical bombers, though. So let's build. Let's build 2 of those. No, 3. And then tactical bombers. Yeah. Let's build 2 of those for now. All right, we're a little bit over on our stuff, so let's reduce the what's it called? The priority of one of our radar stations. And then, yeah, I'll be deploying them manually, so that's good. Okay, we've already done technology. Politics. Okay, we're going to replace ministers right now, and then we can look at who we have in power. George V is pretty good, IC plus 5%, but Stanley Baldwin here ruins it by giving us minus 5% IC and a really, really bad plus 10% ruling party support, I find. I don't like, especially playing, like this. We've got a pretty good party support, and if we, end up being socialist conservative, it's not that big a deal. We don't have any elections or anything, so it's probably not going to be a problem with us having a coup or something. But we can replace some of our ministers. Let's take a look. Intel during peace, their tendency to drift during other factors. I like this better. Neville Chamberlain. Consumer goods during war and peacetime is pretty good. This guy's great because he gives 5% resources, but I don't think that's really necessary for us. So let's pick this guy because he is a fascist or something. Yeah, he is a fascist. And that more closely fits our type of government. And this guy gives us party support, but let's get the guy who gives us a leadership bonus. Not much reason to change there. And light aircraft practical. Yeah, I think the practical is better right now. Again, if I'm doing anything wrong, let me know. And intelligence. We're going to be running counter-espionage in our own country, and then we're going to be focusing most of our spies on Germany to do counter-espionage. And I messed that up. So yeah, and we can remove our spies from everybody else, just to focus more. You know what? No, I won't. I'll just let it be. Okay, so before I want to start the game, I basically want to stop so that I have a session before I actually start the game, so people who don't want to watch this part can skip it. Okay. So yeah. We'll go over the strategic importance later when we actually start deploying units and stuff. So I'm gonna cut here, and then I will start the game next time.